Cost of Victory, Book 1 of the Unseen Scar series by C.R. Saxon. Chapter 11. The brothers grinned when Ferdinand slumped over, completely out. Neither would the skeleton wake up when they arrived. Knowing the family was dying to see their baby brother, Ozar sent John ahead, and he carried Ferdinand to the room shared by all the unmarried boys. Ferdinand requested his own room every time he visited, but letting a child sleep alone, it was wrong. Even though it would make him happy, they couldn't bring themselves to grant his request. Ozar laid Ferdinand gently on the bed prepared for him, then left to find the rest of the family. "We'll let him sleep." Their baby brother's customary mauling always made the Hio grin. Though Evelyn mixed into the chaos tightened his chest. She was so tiny. But she laughed and did well to hold her own. Those green-ringed, dark eyes latched onto him, face brightening. Prying herself out of the pile, Evelyn ran over, looking all around. "I'm sorry, Evelyn, but he's sleeping. You'll have to wait till he wakes up." "Aw, but I wanted to play with my big brother." Dark barrel curls bounced around as she protested. "I know, but it's important to let him rest. He didn't look well." Running back to the pile, she jumped in, searching for John's head. Getting out was a losing fight with 5 giants and a little girl smashing him. "All right, my children, that's enough." Mother laughed. Slowly they disentangled themselves, taking care not to hurt Evelyn. John knelt, making himself eye level with the adorable little girl. "Evelyn Oza, what are you trying to tell me?" "Is Ferdinand sad again?" The Artemis boys looked between each other at her innocent question. "Why would you think that?" "Uncle Ozar said he didn't look well." "Ah," John hugged her. "It was a hard trip. He was so tired he fell asleep while fighting to stay awake. We should let him rest." "Really? He's okay?" She smiled. "When can I play with him?" John looked to the bright sky past the picturesque window. "If he wakes up, he may be up for playing after dinner, but he might sleep all night." "Oh!" Her dark eyes nearly popped out of her head as she remembered her earth-shattering news. "Papa is teaching me to cook." "Really? I better keep practicing or you'll get better than me." John winked. It was heartwarming watching the two. John was better with young children than Ozar expected. Someone tugged at his cuff. Looking down, he found Zinko's hands fussing at a spot on his new shirt, concern marring the older brother's face. "What's on your sleeve?" That caught their mom's attention. Soon he had 2 people examining his shirt. Evelyn held everyone else's attention with a story about her adventure to find new shoes. This was a tale she insisted everyone hear. A look from Mom signaled Zinko to keep everyone occupied. Mother then gestured for Ozar to take advantage of the girls' distraction. They slipped out of the room and hurried to where Ferdinand slept. Oya roamed the island. Both her sweetmates left for break. An adult tried putting her with some girls who stayed, but she discouraged such intentions. Strangers weren't going to invade her new home, neither would she leave the home she now had. She enjoyed a victory walk around the beach, only to realize something. She was very bored. Delicate hands ran through her hair. It was so long the dark strand stayed between her fingers, even with her arms stretched out as far as it'd go. Years of growth. She studied the familiar black. It shone with a light it seemed to produce. Dropping her hand freed the hair to sway in the breeze. Change is part of life, and death. Bare feet skipped down the beach and to the end of the pier. Kneeling, she faced her reflection. Choppy waves leapt up to meet her, making her grin. "Hello, old friend. Could you be calm a moment so I might see properly?" The waves stilled, and the surface became a mirror. "Thank you." Her new look. Oya couldn't say she was displeased. It was interesting. How did this happen? Why did it? Lowering her head made her roots visible. Her hair wasn't growing in dark anymore, and those long blood-red roots were looking weird. "There's no turning me back, is there?" It wasn't just her hair. Her eyes changed too. They used to be black with gold specks matching her hair. Those eyes were her favorite feature. But the green was completely unnatural. At least it's a fun green. Her hair, on the other hand, was simply annoying. Sticking her tongue out at her reflection, she decided. Giggles filled her. Rolling up her pant leg, Oya freed the dagger she'd fashioned from a shell. Laying on her belly, head hanging off the pier, she winked at her reflection, grabbed a chunk of hair, and cut off the black. Bit by bit, it was discarded. The last reminder of a life she'd never see again. "You didn't notice when you carried him in?" Mother asked as they rushed up the stairs. "No." "Was he in pain?" "No." Ozar shook his head. He was a little pale, but looked fine. Entering the huge room, they found Ferdinand sleeping. Mother Artemis went straight to her youngest son, while Ozar turned on a floor lamp, moving it close. Gently so she wouldn't wake him, Mother rolled Ferdinand to his side. Horror filled Ozar's insides. He wasn't like that at the docks. Call Samuel. Tell him to return from town. Of course. Running out, Ozar did as commanded. As expected, his younger brother was confused by the sudden call. Normally, Samuel stayed away until Ferdinand settled in, but the boy needed a healer whether he wanted one or not. By the time he returned, Ferdinand was laying on his belly, awake and cringing. Mother had cut and peeled back 4 shirts and was gently tugging at a thick cloth. Blood soaked every inch of it. Ozar locked the door, then moved over to help. The stick-thin boy struggled futilely. If he couldn't escape Mom, he didn't stand a chance against them both. He'll be here soon, Mom. Thank you, darling. Please hand me the water. The cloth was thoroughly stuck. Wetting it down, Mother waited for his skin to release the fibers more willingly. Still, progress was slow, not an inch at a time. Yet, even when Mom got too ambitious, Ferdinand didn't make a sound. This had to hurt. Ozar, more light. Of course. Ferdinand struggled in vain again. Light filled the room. So did a couple muffled gasps. What happened to you? Who did this? The Hio leaned in closer, studying Ferdinand's bruised and torn skin. If this was all, it'd be gruesome enough. But there were numerous scars marring his back and sides. The sight stole Ozar's breath. Countless scars stretched over protruding bones. A knock broke past the angry music screaming in Ferdinand's ear and stopped his heart. How did I fall asleep with this still playing? But even the most grating song was more pleasant than that voice. Anything to keep it away. Before the Hio opened the door, Mother Artemis put her hands on his shoulders to hold him in place. But even the endless falling of her touch wasn't enough to distract him. No. No! In walked a man who looked like an older version of John, only with slightly darker skin and curlier hair. You can't call him! Son, you need Samuel's help. You don't want this becoming infected. Please, don't touch me. Ferdinand buried his face in the sheets, shaking. There was no outdoing their strength or weight. Because of their touch, he couldn't think. His lungs wouldn't work. Ferdinand was completely helpless, a half-squashed bug, watching the shoe hover above for another go. He couldn't claim this was a fall, and any scan the healer did would show the remnants of everything else. The skeleton knew how well the body documented everything it experienced. Samuel approached the trembling boy cautiously. What happened to him? He won't tell me. Mother's voice choked back tears. Ferdinand, do you give me permission to heal this? Samuel asked, voice soft and calm. No! Struggling and falling and failing. Like Oya, Mother Artemis's touch was unique to her. And, like Oya, it was intense. Fire, blades, lightning, there were so many ways people's touch felt. But it was the ones like these, the ones which didn't hurt, that were the most jarring. Don't touch me. I understand, Samuel sighed, but I'm healing you anyway. Anguish escaped Ferdinand's lips. Raging fire consumed his body as the healer scanned him. Most of the damage is superficial, but there are a number of stress fractures on his ribs and shoulders. No, please stop, please. Drums kicked in, and the screeching metal of electric instruments. Even if he used every ounce of strength, there was no getting out. Why did I come here? I should have gone home. I should have requested permission to turn them down. Ozar, I think Evelyn would love a sleep out with the family. I understand. Ozar hurried out. Ferdinand, Mother said, moving her impossibly tall body to the floor and bringing her eyes even with his. I need to know who did this. Trembling, Ferdinand shook his head, face rubbing against the sheets. Betraying his prince and country? No. He was horrible, but he'd never willingly hurt his people. This was his fault. He wouldn't let his prince fall for something he caused. I need to know what to tell your mother. No! Ignoring the endless fall and consuming fire, he pushed himself up. Both adults restrained him easily. Stop! You can't do this! Let go of me! Calm down, Ferdinand. I can't heal you if you're moving so much. I don't want you to. Let me go. A new voice cut through the scene. What's going on? John, darling, you need to go back downstairs, Mother instructed urgently. John didn't listen. Instead, he observed, trying to understand the scene before him. Seeing the thinker, Ferdinand stopped fighting. Let me melt into nothingness. Is this what she meant? John asked. Ferdinand stiffened. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's what I thought. John secured the door. Mom, Evelyn's asking for you. Tell her I'm busy right now. I'll be down later. I can take your place. The thinker fell to his knees beside her and took Ferdinand's arm, adding stinging needles to everything else assaulting the skeleton. John was tiny next to her. I'll help Samuel. Thank you, but I need to talk to him. John gave his ally a long, hard look. He isn't going to talk right now. Do you know anything about this, my child? Nothing, because this... John stopped before he really started yelling. That allowed Ferdinand to free himself from the stinging needles in an endless fall. He didn't try getting away, just wrapped twig arms around his head. I'm going to fail again. I'm going to hurt my family, my country. Why is everything falling apart? Samuel's voice interrupted his sufferings. Okay, Ferdinand, prepare yourself. Nausea and fire attacked. Ferdinand was infinitely grateful he hadn't eaten today. A healer's ability to heal someone used the patient's energy. All it took was a touch, and the healer could reach out to every cell and force the injured body to repair itself. Small injuries were innocuous, but larger ones like his flogged back, well, it was rather unpleasant. Ferdinand tore his mind away, focusing on the music screaming in his ears. He wrapped it around himself like a blanket, burying his head. Mom? John peeked around the door of her study. Samuel made Ferdinand sleep after a partial healing, then sent him off. The rest of the family was in the middle of Safari, a silly little game of Evelyn's her new family was happy to indulge her in. Come in, son. You haven't called his family, have you? Not yet. I don't know what to say. Being the smallest in a room, it was comforting. This is how it should be. At school, he was always bigger than those around his age. He'd even caught up with most of the older students. Being able to stand before his mom and feel tiny again, to feel like he was no longer required to hold up the world. Can I talk to you? So much happened this block. I'm confused. I don't know what's right anymore. Come here. She held her arms open and hugged him before offering a chair. Where do I begin? There was so much. It wasn't even half a year. How did all that happen in so little time? And he was forbidden from talking about it. But this was his mom. He needed to tell someone, and she needed to know. Arbitrary rules encouraging Ferdinand's twisted desires or fears or whatever drove the gent. Those didn't matter. He didn't care. John needed to talk to someone, and he trusted his mom more than anyone else. Shortly after the block began, Ferdinand got a call. Once John started talking, it all came out, starting from before they left for the hospital and ending with the warning Oya gave him. His mom listened patiently, soaking in every word.